Guys, you know what? I've been doing some thinking. And when I get to thinking, I have thoughts like this. Fragrances that are highly complimented, but controversial at the same time. I know. I know. Let me explain. Let's talk about it. What's going on YouTube? I'm the Bowtie Fragrance Guy. I talk about fragrances on this channel, but I jump into a little bit of style tips as well. I want to make sure that if you guys are going to be taking advice about smelling good, that you take some advice about looking good as well. That means grooming and, like I said, giving you guys some style tips as well. So if you're into that kind of content, make sure you show so by hitting subscribe, and make sure you hit the bell icon as well. So anytime a new video gets uploaded on this channel, you get notified. All right, guys, so today's topic, I know this is a little bit different. Every one of these fragrances that I've worn them at least once or twice. And I've gotten at least one or two compliments on every fragrance I want to talk about. But for me, all of these fragrances come with some controversy. I'm talking about a lot of these newer release designer fragrances. Every last one of these fragrances, like I said, when I've worn them, I've gotten at least one or two compliments with each one of these fragrances. Although, being honest with you, I haven't worn these a lot, and I have my reasons for that. It's about the same things that I've been lamenting here for the past 2-3 years or so about designer fragrances. I'm going to prove it to you today. So if you want to know exactly what I'm talking about, you know the routine, keep it locked right here. Let's get it. You guys don't want to miss this video. Let's go.
The Bowtie Fragrance Guy.
All right, guys, we are back. Thank you so much for keeping it locked in. Let's jump into this video. And I want to start with the fragrance that I think defines this particular topic the most. This fragrance was released last year from the brand of Yves Saint Laurent, and this is Myself. This is Myself. This is Bergamot, Blood Orange, Orange Blossom, and Ambroxan. All right? Ambroxan. Now, I did a short on YouTube about this video when it first came out, and I said two things. It smells great, but it smells very similar to fragrances in the YSL Y line. Like I said, when this fragrance released, it could have been called YSL Y Myself because it smells like it came right from that lineage of YSL Y fragrances. So when you go on to forums and things of that nature and you look at commentary on this fragrance, what are people comparing it to? Other fragrances from the YSL Y line, Prada Luna Rossa Ocean, which was released, a year or two ago? Polo's Ralph Club, a recent release. What am I getting at? Just like I have been saying, guys, not only do these fragrances smell very similar to other fragrances, but they smell similar to other fragrances that were released recently. So all of these fragrances are starting to smell alike, and it's not only my opinion, it seems to be the opinion of the masses. So with that being said, like I said, I've worn this before, and I will promise you guys I got a compliment wearing this fragrance. It smells great, but it is super redundant if you have other fragrances from the YSL Y line, or if you have Prada Luna Rossa Ocean, or Ralph's Club from Polo, because they all are starting to run together and smell alike. So while this got me some compliments when I wore it, if you have some of those other fragrances, you really don't need this. The next fragrance that I want to talk about is another fragrance from YSL, and this is actually from the Y line. This might be the most redundant of all the fragrances I'm going to talk about today. This is YSL Y Eau de Parfum Intense. Ginger, sage, geranium, and lavender are some of the main notes in this fragrance. And oh my gosh, guys, I can't even tell. This is the YSL Y EDP. I can't even really tell the bottles apart unless I lift them up to get a slight difference in the hue, color of the bottle. So you can't even really tell them apart just by looking at the bottle sometimes. That's how redundant this fragrance is. Does it smell great? Yes. Did it get a compliment from me when I wore it? Absolutely. But is it redundant? Absolutely. When you look at what people are comparing this to, there's like 4 fragrances from the YSLY line that people are comparing this fragrance to. And not only are they comparing them to other YSLY fragrances, but other recent releases as well from the brand of Giorgio Armani, Acqu Di Gio Profondo, from YSL as well, the L'Homme line, L'Homme Les Parfums. These are the fragrances. Both of those fragrances, none of them released any later than 2020 is what this is being compared to. So while it smells good, while it gets compliments, if you have any of those other fragrances, you don't need this. All right, the next fragrance up on the list, and I'm not necessarily picking on this fragrance because there's a lot of fragrances that were released here recently that falls victim to a lot of the same stuff that I want to talk about with this fragrance, as well as some of the others that I just mentioned. But this fragrance from the brand of Paco Rabanne, Victory Elixir. Victory Elixir. All right, this is lavender, cardamom, vanilla, and tonka. Like I said before, the other fragrances I've talked about, I have worn this a few times. I have gotten compliments on this fragrance. It smells great. It's just redundant. This fragrance kind of falls into that whole elixir craze. Most of these companies now, these designer companies, everybody's coming out with their own elixir. This, if you look at what this is being compared to, Le Beau Les Parfums from Jean Paul Gaultier, I think was a 2022 release. 1 Million Elixir, which I think was a 2023 or 2022 release. Come on, guys. Really? They all have a very similar note breakdown. And usually if you look at the notes, you're going to find vanilla and tonka bean. It just is what it is. And like I said, there's a lot of other fragrances that kind of fall into the same category as this one, so I'm not necessarily picking on Paco Rabanne, but come on, man. Come on. These all are starting to smell just alike. Another fragrance that smells absolutely fantastic but meets all the criteria of all the other fragrances I've talked about today. This one from the brand of Valentino. This is Valentino Born in Roma Intense. This is vanilla, lavender, and vetiver. So again, got compliments. I wore this last week and I went to the barbershop. My barber got out the car. He was like, dude, you smell great. What is that? I was wearing this. It gets compliments. It gets people's attention, but it smells a lot like the original. And also, like I talked about with YSLY, the bottles, very hard to tell them apart, man. Of course, bottles are very similar. And the fragrances that a lot of people are comparing this to, like the Most Wanted from Aaros, which is a fragrance that was released in 2021, 2022. Again, same song and dance. And this is most of the designer fragrances, honestly, that have been released over the last 2 or 3 years. They're all starting to really run together. Listen, that was successful, so let's do the same thing and be successful as well. And the thing about these fragrances are that I remember before I really got into fragrances like that, I can tell you for a fact, I will walk into a Macy's or a Dillard's and smell any of these and want to purchase a fragrance. And I guess that's what it's about for these companies at the end of the day. But it kind of sucks for people like myself that are really deep into this hobby that are paying attention to this, because it's like, I mean, like, I know I have enough fragrances, but you want to get excited about a release. And that, for the last couple of years, for the most part, for a lot of designers, just hasn't been happening, because this smells like that, that smells like this, you get it. So nothing really to look forward to. I know it sucks. And the last fragrance that I want to mention on this particular list today is a fragrance that I actually just mentioned from the brand of Aaros. This is Aaros, the Most Wanted. All right, this fragrance has vanilla, ginger, and a lot of people are comparing this to the Aaros, the Most Wanted Intense. Like I just mentioned, the last fragrance I just talked about from Valentino, people are kind of comparing it to that. A lot of the fragrances from the Stronger With You line, Stronger With You Absolutely, Stronger With You Intensely. All the same stuff, vanilla, sweetness, tonka bean, same song and dance with a lot of these fragrances. And like I said, this is another one. I've worn it. I've gotten some compliments before, sure. But, I actually gave my other Valentino, I'm sorry, not Valentino. I gave the other intense version of this fragrance away. The most wanted intense, because it's so similar to this, redundant to have both. But anyway, guys, I think you understand the point of this video. Listen, if you don't have a lot of fragrances in your collection, and you don't have a fragrance, one of these fragrances, and you don't have the fragrance that I mentioned that is very similar to these fragrances, listen, they're great fragrances. They smell great. A lot of them are mass appealing. A lot of them are going to get you a lot of attention, a lot of compliments, and all that kind of stuff. But again, if you have a nice size collection, you're going to realize that a lot of these fragrances smell very similar to something that's already sitting right in front of your face on the shelves. But that is it, guys. That is my little rant for today. How do you guys feel about this topic, this subject matter? I would sincerely love to hear from you down in the comment section. And as always, I sincerely appreciate you guys' time and attention to these videos. I know you don't have to watch, but you do, and I sincerely appreciate that. Now, don't forget to take a few moments to like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you're sharing these videos out to some other folks that you think could use the information or find it entertaining. Because I'm your guy, Darren. I'm the Bowtie Fragrance Guy. I love to look good, and of course, I love to smell amazing. So until next time, keep looking good, keep smelling even better. I'll catch you on the flip side.